everybody, my name is MINOU, and today we're going to be talking about Cloudstar's Journey, which is one of the books inside of the very first novella trio, and seeing as I apparently am very into novellas, I was super excited to get into this book, not only because it is one of the first novellas, but also because it's like an early SkyClan point of view. You know, we get a lot of new characters added in, just a whole new conflicts, and kind of like a window into a time that we didn't really know much about beforehand. Before we get started, I am going to give a spoiler warning. In the beginning, I will do a brief summary and a general review, but after that, I am going to be getting into spoiler territory, so for those of you who haven't read it yet, I'm just letting you know. Alright, so Cloudstar's Journey is about basically when SkyClan got kicked out, you know. If you've read Firestar's Quest, you know that they got kicked out because basically all their territory was turned into two-leg housing, and so none of the clans let them have any of their land, and so they just decided to get themselves out of here. Even though I must say that place next to Shadow Clan that we heard about in Tiger Claw's Fury with the old ancient oaks and stuff, that would have been perfect SkyClan territory, but apparently they went the other way down the river, so I mean, sucks to be them, but like little did they know there's a perfect house for them right over there. But no, they had to go on this huge journey to uh, the ravine. And what surprised me about this novella is that it's not actually about the journey. It's called Cloudstar's Journey, but it's not about the journey. It's about what caused the journey. It's about, like, you know, what SkyClan was feeling like during the whole two-leg thing, and, you know, about SkyClan in the forest territory, and not about when they were journeying, which I'm relieved about because when I was going into this, I was like, oh yeah, walking, yay. You know, traveling books, they can be good, you know. When you're traveling, you run into a lot of cool unexpected things and a lot of cool events happen, but at the same time, I'm tired of it. So, you know, I was very relieved when we never had to go on any big journey, and it was more about, like, Cloudstar's personal experience, I guess, during the whole two-leg destroying your entire territory thing. um, my general thoughts on this. It was good, and I really like the way that, like, we got to learn about all these new characters. Obviously, they weren't very well developed because they were brand spanking new, and obviously they didn't have very much time to develop any of them. But the characters that we do know, Cloudstar, Birdflight, they're pretty good. I like Fawn Step too. So I'm a big fan. I'm a fan of the characters. There are better characters in the world, but I mean, they did a good job for the amount of space they had within one novella to develop an entirely new clan. So I think they did a good job, and I respect that aspect of it. But there were a few little things that just bother me, and I'll get into that later. So I think I give it a 9 out of 10 because it is a very good novella. However, there are just a few things that just bug me. And of course, the characters, as I said, are not perfect. They're good for one novella of, like, making an entirely new clan. They did well when they only had the space of one novella. But, you know, obviously they weren't as good as usual because we have no idea who these cats are. Let's dive into spoiler territory. So, for those of you who haven't read it, hello, you have been warned. This is spoiler territory now. So now I'm going to do, like, a more detailed summary. So basically, in the beginning, everything's going fine, everything's doing well, you know, there's Cloudstar's kids are coming, Cloudstar's feeling really great, you know, cats from StarClan come down to him and say, oh, guess what, Cloudstar, you're gonna be in SkyClan territory forever. Don't worry, everything's gonna be fine. You're doing a really good job, and, you know, the SkyClan is gonna last forever. Don't worry about it. I feel like they knew what was gonna happen. And I don't know why they decided to say those things, because it obviously, in the end, it made Cloudstar not believe in StarClan. Like, it made him ditch them. And, like, I can understand that. Literally, like, not even a moon before their entire home is destroyed, these people have the audacity to come in and say, and celebrate with him and be like, oh yeah, everything's everything's fine and dandy, and then after that, they just don't talk to him for the rest of the time. Were they just wrong? Or were they purposefully trying to bug him? I don't understand why you would do that. It's not a prophecy. There were just a bunch of leaders in one spot just talking about how awesome SkyClan is and how it was going to live forever in the forest. And they made Cloudstar promise that he would never leave his clan, right? He would never leave his territory and whatever, and he'd as long as he had breath in his body and whatever, blah 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 blah, he would keep SkyClan alive, right? So they made him promise that, even though they probably knew that exactly what was going to happen. I mean, it's a pretty big event. If you don't know that it's going to happen, then I mean, you're very bad fortune tellers, I must say. You were able to predict that something happens to Hawkfrost in the new prophecy. Don't worry about it if you haven't read it. But basically, they were able to predict that something minor happened. Well, not minor for Hawkfrost, but minor as far as history goes in new prophecy, right? But then they weren't able to predict that an entire clan was driven out. Or maybe they were, and they were just being jerk faces as usual. I don't know. It just confuses me. Now, another thing that I wanted to talk about is the fact that Cloudstar, pretty much the only thing that comes out of his mouth is my precious. Who says precious? Who talks like that? My darling. He says things like that, my precious, my darling. And who talks like that? It's kind of common in Warriors where people are going to be like, little one, like who says little one? Yeah, it sounds sweet, but nobody actually says that. And then my precious, nobody says that. Maybe that's just because of Lord of the Rings, and if we didn't have the whole Lord of the Rings and the golem thing, then maybe we would say it, but I don't think so. It's just kind of awkward just saying that. Like, who? I love you, my precious. Little one, sleep well. Like, who talks like that? Who talks like that? Nobody. So that's what bothers me about this, is that he says precious at least 5 times within this very short novella, and it's just like, Cloudstar, do you have any other words in your vocabulary? Like, seriously, man. What the heck? Like, my precious home, my precious bird flight, my precious kids, my precious home, my precious home, my precious home. Please stop. Stop saying that word. Okay, I totally understand if you say it once or twice, but Cloudstar, that's all you ever say. There's other ways to express affection for something or someone. Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. It just bothers me. And then of course, there had to be kids born in this novella, because if there are no kids born in Hollyleaf Story, no kids born in Misty Star's Omen, of course they had to fit a kidding scene somewhere in this book, otherwise it would just be unacceptable. So they had to put it in Cloudstar's journey. Okay, like, please just stop it with the kidding scenes, please. It's just, alright, every once in a while, it's fine. These are cats, they have kids, it's normal. But can we just be from the point of view of a Tom who is not in the nursery or something? Because I'm so tired of it. I mean, okay, but there's been 80 books, and like pretty much every other book has a kidding scene inside of it. A kidding scene. So please stop. I'm sorry. But okay. Those are some pretty minor complaints, right? Kidding scenes, I'm used to it. I can get on with it, and I don't really care that much. It doesn't really affect the quality of the book to me, because I'm just so used to it. It's in good books, it's in bad books, so I don't care. My only point is I'm tired of reading it. But the precious thing, I don't really mind that much about it too. It just bothered me every once in a while. And then the whole thing with the characters being new and everything, I don't care that much. What I do care about is that they did a really good job with the characters. They did a really good job making SkyClan sound desperate. Like, a lot of the times they're like, oh, it's Leaf Bear, we don't have any prey, we have to attack the other clan. This time, it was more like, we are literally starving to death, right? like we are, you could feel the starvation going on. That sounds awful, but it's true. You could feel it deep in your core, and you know these cats were desperate from the way that they described how they were fighting, how like some cats were like squashed like a twig or something, or how hard they were fighting, and just how desperate they were, and how this was like their last hope, that one battle. You could really feel it. If Cloudstar hadn't been a responsible leader and he hadn't said to retreat, you know that they would have kept fighting to the death. None of them were going to be retreating, because what is there left at home? Nothing. There's no food. There's no food. What are you going to do? Like, you don't even have a place to, like, relax in the woods anymore because of all the noise. So you could tell that they were just so, they just painted that desperation so well, and I really enjoyed that. I don't really like how they kept mentioning how the cat's eyes were sunk into their head. Like, I know that's kind of what happens when you became starved, but they repeated it like 4 times. That bothered me. It just kind of made me uncomfortable because have you ever seen a cat with eyes sunken into its head? Really? Like, have you? I haven't, so it just makes me kind of uncomfortable hearing that sentence repeated like 8 times within the span of one novella. So that made me a bit uncomfortable, but that's just a minor thing. I like nitpicking, like that's I don't really care that much. But what I did love, the battle was just so good. The desperation was amazing. Just just the way that Cloudstar's thoughts were happening. I guess how he was always like, yeah, we have hope, even though so much stuff was crumbling around him, and how you could feel his stress, and how he just wanted to like run away with his mate, but he couldn't because he was a leader. I really liked that, and I felt really sad when Birdflight had to stay with ThunderClan, and I don't understand why she didn't follow them after. Maybe they just lost the scent trail, but I felt really sad when Birdflight had to go to ThunderClan, and how they described the way that Cloudstar, he would love to run off with her and go and be a happy family with her somewhere else, but how he was really stuck. He felt stuck. He didn't feel like he wanted to be a leader or wanted to be part of his clan. It just felt like he got himself stuck in this situation. But he made the most of it, and he was responsible about it. He was stuck in this situation, but he wasn't going to be a bad leader. He was stuck as a leader, but he wasn't going to be a bad one. So like I just really liked it. I really like the story a lot. I really like the cover too. I mean, yeah, this is just Forest of Secrets, but I do like the way that Cloudstar is painted. I'm pretty sure this is indeed a new painting, whereas this one here, the one for Hollyleaf's story, that one is recycled from Forgotten Warrior, and also the background is recycled from Forest of Secrets. But this is a new painting right there, and I really like how it turned out. I really like his design, how that he has that little teardrop shape. A lot of cats have teardrop shapes on their head, like a lot of OCs and cats and whatever, um, and they usually look pretty unnatural. They look painted on sometimes, like they're not actually part of the cat's markings. But these guys did a really good job of making it really look like a part of Cloudstar's pelt. So I really liked that. But overall, the cover is I know I'm talking a lot about the negative points, but I can't emphasize enough. Throughout the story, I really just enjoyed it. There was a lot of drama going on, and a lot of desperation in the SkyClan cats, and just the way, just everything just was just a very well written, except for the fact that they kept repeating "my precious" and skulls shrunken into the head. No, that's not correct. Eyes shrunken into the skull. But other than that, it was very, very well written, and I enjoyed every moment of it. And I'm really glad I got had the chance to be able to read it, because I don't regret anything. It was a very good story, and I would recommend it to anyone. I also really like how they had their tactic where they climbed up into the trees and then dropped it down on the ThunderClan warriors, but it didn't work because they weren't heavy enough because they were so starving. That just made me so sad. Like, they're just completely stuck. They can't fight their way out of their situation. They can't just ignore their situation and continue living as usual, because I mean they're gonna get crushed and there's no prey and they're just gonna starve, and they can't find a new territory because no one will let them, so they just have to leave and just forget everything and leave everything behind. That was just so sad. It was a sad story, but I like that there were some moments, especially in the beginning, that were just really happy, and I really enjoyed this story. I can't emphasize it enough. I know I've repeated the same thing like 8 times, but if you're considering but whether to buy this or not, in fact, I've read this entire trio. I like them all, although they're not 100% the most amazing things I've ever read in my life. They are still really, really, really great. And so I would totally recommend them to anybody. Like if you're looking at it in a bookstore and considering whether to buy it or not, do. Do, because it is a very interesting story. You get to meet a lot of characters. I did a series in my podcast. By the way, you can find my podcast in the link in the description below. But basically, I found a bunch of very, very minor characters. A lot of them I never heard of. And I basically talked about them, explained their story, and went as into depth as I could about them. Looking back, this was a long time ago. I didn't really like that series, but like I realize now that a lot of these cats that I reviewed were from Cloudstar's journey. That's simply because there are so many cats introduced in Cloudstar's journey, and entire allegiances of cats that we don't know anything about introduced in Cloudstar's journey. So I'm thinking if they want to make another prequel series, I think the best era to do it in is kind of like the general Cloudstar era, because there are a lot of cats that are named, they have descriptions, but they just have no personality, no story. That's just because the only thing we've had from this era is Cloudstar's journey. And so if they went back and made an arc about it, I'd be really happy, and those characters won't just be blank slates anymore. I just thought that was interesting how there's just so many characters there that we don't know about. And that's just one era. Like, if you pick any point in time in clan history, there's such a, like, there are so many other points in time where the clans have existed, and there's been entire generations that we know nothing about, and I find that very interesting. There's just so much potential, I guess, for the Irons to go back and fill in the history, because there's just infinite stories there. There's just so many stories available there. Some of them are already poked at in like Secrets of the Clan, like the various field guides. Some of them are poked at in the various novellas. So filling in all those stories that are kind of like half done because you don't really know what's going on, that would be a really cool thing for the Irons to do, and I would really like that actually. In the Warrior Cats 2020 survey that is now closed, I said that I wanted like some Modern River Clan stuff and I don't know, a bunch of stuff. But now looking back, I think I would probably, if I could redo it again, I would probably say I wanted some stuff from Cloudstar era journey, like filling in the gaps, I guess, in clan history, because I think that would just be very interesting, and there's just so much potential for entirely new stories. You know, if you're one of those people who don't like where modern things are going, I can sympathize with you. Sometimes it's a bit weird, I guess, the whole Broken Code and Veil of Shadows thing. It seems like they're kind of jumping the shark just a little bit. They're just starting. If you're not into that, then I think a story like that would just make you happy. And I think a lot of people would really be happy if they could get a blank slate. I know a lot of people were really happy with that with Dawn of the Clans, which was another one of those stories that filled in the blanks. I know a lot of people really liked Dawn of the Clans specifically because they got to start all over, none of the characters that we know existed. Basically, it was just completely different back then. There was a whole nother clan. There were whole different politics going on. So I think that's a big reason why people liked Dawn of the Clans, and I think there's more potential there if the Irons ever consider doing that. So yeah, if you enjoyed this episode, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye!